Hello students, in the last class we were discussing about some of the important concepts which are related to Nernst equation, and we have also seen how to write the Nernst equation in the general form, and we have also applied the Nernst equation for the Daniell cell. So for the calculation of a total EMF of the cell, that is EMF of the cell, that is equal to E standard of the cell minus RT divided by NF into ln of M divided by M plus N. Since we have seen that M is an electrode which is in the solid form, so therefore the value of that M is generally taken as 1. So therefore the Nernst equation will convert into EMF of the half cell, that is equal to standard EMF of the half cell minus RT divided by NF into ln of 1 divided by M plus 1. Here R represents the gas constant, T represents the temperature, N represents the number of electron, and F represents the Faraday value. And we also applied the equation for the Daniell cell, and by applying the equation for the Daniell cell, we have seen that there were two cases. In first case we have written it for cathode, in the second case we have written it for anode, and we know the formula for the calculation of total EMF of the cell that we have previously learned. E cell is equal to E right minus E left. So therefore when you minus by substituting the equation 1 and equation 2 in above equation A, so you will overall get the value of EMF of the cell is equal to E standard of the cell minus RT divided by 2F into ln of Zn plus 2 divided by Cu plus 2, right? So by mathematical conversions, we can take it as a ln can be converted into log by multiplying some constant, that is 2.303. So therefore the total EMF of the cell will become, so E standard minus 0.059 divided by 2 into log of Zn plus 2 divided by Cu plus. Along with that, we have seen a few more concepts related to the general equation for the general equation, which is given by the help of Nernst equation for the calculation of total EMF of the cell. So here the total ln value has been taken as Q, and that is Q is equal to concentration of product divided by concentration of reactant. So and we have also seen the equilibrium constant for the Nernst equation, right? In case of same Daniell cell, so we have taken here EMF of the cell is equal to E standard of the cell minus 2.303 into RT divided by 2F, because number of electrons transferred during the reaction is 2. So therefore N value is taken as 2, and it is 2F into log of Zn plus 2 divided by Cu plus 2. At equilibrium, what happens? There is no any kind of output. The reaction will, how much amount of the reactant will convert into product, that is if you take the reactant are converting into product, the same product is converting into reactant, which means so it is an continuous a reversible reaction. Here what happens, the how much amount of reactant will convert into product, the same amount of product will convert again into the reactant molecule. So therefore what happens, the output of the reaction will be 0, or there will be no any kind of transfer of electron, that is net transfer of electron will be 0. So therefore there is no any kind of EMF in that cell. So therefore total EMF of the cell is taken as 0. So therefore here if you apply EMF of the cell is equal to 0, then the equation will convert into E standard of the cell. If it comes this side, so this 2.303 will convert into positive value. So therefore at equilibrium, E standard of the cell is equal to 2.303 into RT divided by 2F into log of Zn plus 2 divided by Cu plus 2. In general, we can say that EMF of the, that is standard EMF of the cell is equal to 2.303 into RT divided by NF into log of Kc, right? So if you get any kind of a cell, you can apply at equilibrium the Nernst equation for that given, right? So that's all we have studied in the previous class. In today's class, further we'll go with the electrochemical cell and Gibbs energy of the reaction. Okay, as I said that the further concept is electrochemical cell and Gibbs energy of the reaction, and already you know and you have some of the ideas related to the Gibbs energy. So generally the amount of available energy to convert into work, or which can be used for the further useful work, so that is known as the Gibbs free energy, and generally it is measured in terms of, or it is denoted with the help of capital G, right? So when it converts from one value to another value, which means change in Gibbs free energy, generally if you call change in Gibbs energy or Gibbs free energy, right? So we can term this with the help of delta G, right? So G means Gibbs free energy, and whenever you apply the word change means delta represents the change in value. Initially it will have some value, but after the formation of product it will have the change in the Gibbs free energy. So therefore change in Gibbs free energy is generally given as delta G. Generally, we know that the Gibbs free energy is nothing but the total energy. The total available energy, which can be converted or which can be used for the further work. We'll call it as Gibbs free energy. Right? So, in simple notation, if you want to define the Gibbs free energy, that is Gibbs free energy is equal to, so that is a total energy minus used energy. It is generally termed as total energy, whatever the total energy which is present within the body minus used energy, right? So whenever you calculate the total energy minus used energy, you will get some amount of the free energy, right? So that free energy is generally called as Gibbs free energy. Very simple. The total energy. For example, if you have ability to study for 10 hours, so which means if you study for 5 hours, the remaining will be 5 hours, right? So that free 5 hours is still you have power to study. So that is generally termed as Gibbs free energy, that is which is known as available energy, right? So Gibbs free energy is nothing but available energy, the energy which can be used for further conversion of the work. So always remember, here in this case G represents the Gibbs free energy, right? So delta G represents the change in Gibbs free energy, and delta R of G, which means delta G subscript R, this represents change in Gibbs energy during reaction, right? So generally we know that delta represents the change in Gibbs free energy, right? So where R represents the during reaction. Understand the terms. G represents the Gibbs free energy, delta G represents the change in Gibbs free energy, and delta R, the subscript, represents change in Gibbs free energy during a particular reaction. For example, here if you take the same Daniell cell, if I apply here Zn plus U plus 2, we will convert into Zn plus 2 plus Cu. If you take this, right, so during the reaction what happens, there will be a transfer of 2 electrons. There will be a transfer of 2 electrons. Here we can calculate the change in Gibbs free energy with the help of formula. The formula for the calculation of Gibbs free energy, so that is equal to delta R of G. That is delta R of G is equal to minus NF into EMF of the cell, right? So the given equation for the calculation of the Gibbs free energy or a change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction, that is delta RG, R subscript, and G, change in Gibbs free energy, can be calculated during the reaction with the help of formula delta R of G is equal to minus NF into total EMF of the cell. So here if you go for the notations, that N represents the number of electrons transferred, during the reaction, and F represents the Faraday value, right? So that is constant value 96,487 coulombs per mole, right? So that is a constant value, always remember. So even they give in case of problematic questions also, the total Faraday value, that is constant, that is 96,487 coulombs per mole, and E cell represents the EMF of the cell. E cell represents the EMF of the cell, right? For example, in case of a Daniell cell, we have seen the total output of the Daniell cell is 1.1 volt. So that is EMF of the cell, right? So by applying that, so we can calculate the standard Gibbs free energy, that is delta R of G during the reaction, right? So this is very simple. This is very important formula which can be asked for. So 1 mark problematic question, calculate the change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction of delta. So that is delta R of G, you have to calculate, right? So very simple formula, the electrochemical cell and Gibbs free energy of the reaction. Already we know what is electrochemical cell, that the cell which converts, right? So the electrical energy into chemical energy, we'll call it as electrochemical cell. And whenever you apply the Gibbs free energy or Gibbs energy for that, so G represents the Gibbs free energy, delta G represents the change in Gibbs free energy. Generally Gibbs free energy is nothing but the total energy minus used energy, which is generally nothing but the available energy. This available energy is called as Gibbs free energy. So and delta R of G represents the change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction. For example, here we have taken the Daniell cell. In case of Daniell cell, so you can calculate the total change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction. If you know the total EMF of the cell, if you know the number of electrons transferred, directly we can calculate the delta R of G. This is very simple, right? And we'll solve one example, right? So the output of Daniel cell, for example, the output of Daniel cell is equal to 1.1 volt, right? So, and calculate the delta R of G for the reaction, right? So in case of Daniel cell, we already know the reaction, that is Zn plus Cu plus 2 will convert into Zn plus 2 plus Cu, right? So here output is nothing but it is the E cell of the reaction, right? So output is nothing but that is total E cell of the reaction, right? So we know the formula delta R of G, that is equal to minus Nf into EMF of the cell. Why we have taken a minus here? Because its value always goes on decreases, because available energy will goes on reduces during the reaction, which means the total energy minus used energy. Say for example, if the total energy is 50, after the reaction what happens? So 50% reduce means it will be 25. This is the Gibbs free energy. Further, if you again if you go for the further reaction, 25 can convert into 10, 10 can convert into 5. Like this, the value goes on decreases. Therefore, the change in Gibbs energy is termed with the help of a negative sign. Always remember, because so it is the decreasing value. It is not the increasing value. So therefore, delta R of G is equal to minus Nf into EMF of the cell, right? So during the reaction, the total number of electrons transferred are 2, because if we take zinc, is converting into zinc plus 2 by liberating 2 electrons. That is half cell, oxidation cell. Similarly, Cu plus 2 by adding 2 electrons will convert into Cu. And the total number of electrons transferred during the reaction is 2, right? So during overall reaction, the number of electrons are transferred 2. So therefore, N value is taken as 2. And here, N value is equal to 2, and already we know the F value, that is 96,487, and total EMF of the cell they have given, the total EMF of the cell is, that is 1.1 volt. By applying this, that is delta R of G, that is equal to minus N is 2, and multiplying with Faraday value, that is 96,487 into the total EMF of the cell is 1.1 volt. So if you calculate it with the help of calculator, so you'll get a minus 21,227 joules per mole. The overall value we will get is minus 21,227 joules per mole, or you can write it in the form of kilojoules also. When you convert this into kilojoule, so it will become minus 212.27 kilojoules per mole. You can write in the form of kilojoules also, minus 212.27 kilojoules per mole. So therefore, so if you want to calculate the standard change in Gibbs free energy, there is also one more formula for the calculation of standard change in Gibbs free energy, that is delta R of G standard. This symbol represents the standard change in the value, that is minus RT into ln of K, right? So for the calculation of a standard value, this is the standard value. Right? So therefore, the calculation of standard value, the above equation, this can be modified in the form of this equation, that is delta R of G standard is equal to minus RT into ln of K, right? So this is very important formula for the calculation of a change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction in case of any electrochemical cell. We have taken general example for the Daniel cell, and the total output of 1.1 volt is given by the Daniel cell, and we know the reaction. If you know the reaction, you can identify the total number of electrons transferred during the reaction, and by applying the constant value, that is Faraday value, you'll get the total EMF, that is change in Gibbs free energy during the reaction, right? For every reaction, you can calculate the change in Gibbs free energy during that reaction. Even if they ask for exam for 1 mark or 2 marks, you can easily calculate with the help of this formula, that is delta R of G is equal to minus Nf into EMF of the cell. F is the constant value and N is the number of electrons that you have to carefully observe within the reaction. By making the half cell reaction or directly by seeing the charges, you will come across how many electrons are transferred during the reaction, and EMF of the cell generally they will give for the examination. So therefore minus Nf into EMF of the cell, you will get the delta R of G. Okay, in the next concept we will go for the measurement of conductivity in case of ionic solutions. So conductivity is nothing but the amount of the ability of substance to conduct the electrical current. For example, so if you take a wire, right, so that is a length of AB. So if the number of electrons transferred to this is more, then we will call it as it is a good conductor. Right? For example, copper wire or iron wire, it has ability to transfer the electrons through its body. So therefore, it is termed as a good conductor. And bad conductors like a plastic or the wood, so which will not helps to transfer the electrons of through its body, we'll call it as bad conductor. That we have already studied in case of a first chapter, that is solids, insulators, conductors and semiconductor. Here we are talking about the conductivity of the ionic solution. Ionic solution means the conductivity of solution, that is electrolytic solution. For example, if you take NaCl, so during the reaction what happens, it may convert into Na plus and Cl minus, right? So whether this will act as a conductor or whether it will act as a semiconductor or whether it may act as a insulator, that will study in this case. Along with that, how much of the amount of electrical current, that is conductivity, can be measured in this case of solutions, right? So already we know how we can calculate with the help of the solid molecules or in the solid substances, but in case of liquid solutions, so here we have to calculate the conductivity. Conductivity is nothing but the amount of electrons transferred during the reaction. So, and we have already come across with one of the important term, that is resistivity, or we can call it as a resistance. So resistance is nothing but the opposition force, right? So during the transfer of electrons, opposition force, whenever the electrons are transferring, whenever there is an opposition force or the force in the reverse direction, we will call it as a resistivity. Right? And the conductance and resistance are inversely proportional. We know that C is inversely proportional to 1 by R. Whenever the conductance is more, the resistivity is less. Whenever the conductance is less, the resistivity is more. We know that the conductance is inversely proportional to resistivity. That is 1 by resistance, which means whenever the conductivity is more, the resistance will be less. Whenever the conductivity is less, the resistance will be more. Like this, we can calculate the resistance also and conductance also. And it's very easy to calculate the resistance. Once you calculate the resistance by inversing, right? So by reversing that value, you will come across the conductance. Therefore, here what happens? So according to the simplification, so directly we cannot calculate the conductivity in case of electrolytic solution. There are different experiment, but it is not for your syllabus. So here, to calculate the conductivity of ionic solutions, we must first calculate the resistance in case of electrolytic solutions or in case of ionic solutions. And here what happens, further if you inverse that value, once you get the R value, so that is R is inversely proportional to 1 by C, same. R is inversely proportional to 1 by C, or you can call it as C is inversely proportional to, R is directly proportional to 1 by C, or you can call it as C is directly proportional to 1 by R. You can call it as R is inversely proportional to C. C is inversely proportional to R. Both are correct, right? So here you can use this method for the calculation of conductivity of the ionic solution. The main theme is we are calculating the conductivity, but directly we are not calculating the conductivity. Just by calculating the resistivity of the solution, further the value, whatever the value you get, so you can convert that into the conductivity. That is, R is directly proportional to 1 by C, that is also same. R is inversely proportional to C, that is also same. So therefore, here our work is to calculate the resistivity or resistance of the ionic solution. Generally, ionic solutions are the solutions which can convert into ions. Whenever you apply or supply external electrical current, so they will split into ions. That is, for example, if you take NaCl, so it will convert into Na plus and Cl minus. You get into two different charges. One is cation, another one is ion. Similarly, if you take an electrolyte is nothing but the solution which can be converted into, right? So two different charges. One is cation and anion on the application of external electrical current, or even if you supply heat, sometimes they will convert into different charge particles. So therefore, so for these ionic solutions, we can calculate the conductivity with the help of calculation of resistivity. Once you calculate the resistivity, just by reciprocating that value, you will get the conductivity. So in physics, actually we have learned there is one experiment for the calculation of resistivity in case of the metals or in case of any substances, that is generally called as a Wheatstone bridge, or we will call it as a Wheatstone network. Right, so like this bridge we have seen. right? So there were 4 different resistors and whose resistance is calculated, and here one was a detector, right? So this is R4, R3, this is R1, there is variable resistance, and this is R2. So that is so our resistance or our metal. For example, if you take a metal whose resistivity can be calculated, right? And P is generally called as a detector, and there is an oscillator. There is an oscillator for the, right? So this bridge or this network, right? So that bridge or a network is generally used for the determination of the required or desired, that is resistivity of the metal. But here, whenever it is in the solid form or whenever it is in the form of wire, directly we can connect with the help of wires for that metal. For example, if you take a metal like this, which is in the form of wire, I can connect wires for both the side. I can connect the wires for both the side, and I can fix that wire in case of a Wheatstone network or Wheatstone bridge with the help of oscillator. Whenever the some amount of electrical current is passed, we can see the deflection in case of the detector, or with the help of microphone also we can detect how much there is a variation in case of, or the resistivity of this. That is with the help of the formula, that is R2 into R3, that is equal to R1 into R4. This is the formula. With the help of this formula we can calculate one unknown value. So here the unknown value is for R2, therefore R2 is equal to R1 into R4 divided by R3. Like this we would have calculated in case of physics. So the same experiment even used for the ionic solution. But one important difficulty here we come across is, so we are connecting the liquid solutions. Whenever we are connecting the liquid solutions, we cannot fix here the liquid solution directly. We cannot put the beaker directly in case of the bridge or in case of network. So therefore, because we cannot directly connect the wires to the liquid solutions, we cannot dip the wires directly into the liquid solution. Therefore, what happens? We have to modify. So this beaker, whatever the beaker, we have taken the electrolytic solution or in case of ionic solution. So this solution is modified, right? So this solution is modified into conductivity cell, right? So this is generally converted into conductor. Always remember, directly we cannot fix this ionic solution, whatever we have taken in a beaker, we cannot fix into the Wheatstone bridge or in the Wheatstone network during the experiment. So therefore, to connect all the wires, we must convert this beaker, whatever the beaker is there, we have to convert that into a special kind of cell. Special kind of a cell. So that cell is generally called as conductivity cell. With the help of that conductivity cell, so by converting that ionic solutions, which whatever you have taken in case of beaker, so by converting that into conductivity cell, what we can do, so we can fix that into the Wheatstone bridge. So I will write the diagrammatic representation of the conductivity cell. So generally conductivity cell is the cell which is in the form of glass tube. So if you consider this as a glass tube, and here there will be a one side opening in case of glass tube for the input of the electrolyte. Here with the help of the funnel, or directly we can fill this with the electrolytic solution, that is ionic solution. And here at the end, both the end, so there will be connecting wires here, like this. There will be connecting wires here. So it is generally called as connecting wires. Okay. So like this we have to make the glass tube. So in that you have to fill the ionic solution, because directly we cannot fix the beaker here in case of the Wheatstone bridge or Wheatstone network. First we have to modify. This is modified into conductivity cell, which is known as special cell. So that is the glass tube. This is the pure glass tube in which we have made the input for the uploading or inputting the whatever the electrolytic solution or the ionic solution which you take for the calculation of total resistance, right? So and these are the wires, and these are generally platinum wires. These are generally platinum wires which acts as electrodes. right? So both these, right? So this is also act as a electrode, and those are generally made up of platinum. So therefore this is the design for the conductivity cell. Or you can the one more design for the conductivity cell. This is very simple. Like this also we can design the conductivity cell, right? So these two are connecting wires. So these two are platinum electrodes, and in between there is an, this is also glass tube, that is also glass tube, and here these both are platinum wires, right? So now what we have to do after converting that electrolytic solution whatever we have taken in a beaker in the form of conductivity cell. So this is first type, and you can also convert this to this type. So there were two designs for the conductivity cell. You can design in the form of this conductivity cell also, or you can design in this form of the second conductivity cell also. Further, what we have to do, we have to take this conductivity cell. Now we can fix in case of this Wheatstone bridge, right? So here, if you again, I will draw here. It is a detector. Right, so this is the design of the Wheatstone bridge. This is the variable resistance, and this is the modified conductivity cell. I will fix here, right? So this is a modified, and further it is connected to the oscillator for the input of electrical current, right? So this is generally called as conductivity cell, right? So this is the detector, P is the detector, and we have already seen that one. Here we have seen, right? And this is oscillator, and here you can name this as this is R1, this is R2, this is R3, and this is R4, right? So there are 4 resistors. It can be taken because we are calculating the resistivity, hence we will call it this conductivity cell as it behaves as a resistor there. So therefore we know the formula, that is R2 into R3, that is equal to R1 into R4. Because according to Wheatstone bridge, here we will take the diagonal is multiplied. The diagonal values are multiplied. That is the equation which was given by the scientist, that is Wheatstone. Therefore we call it as Wheatstone bridge. R2 into R3 is equal to R1 into R4. Here the unknown value is R2. So therefore to calculate R2, the formula will become, so that is R1 into R4 divided by R3. That we have already seen here, right? So R2 is equal to R1 into R4 divided by R3. So therefore whenever you get this R value, you can reciprocate that value. That is R is directly proportional to 1 by C, where C represents the conductivity. Whenever you get this value, just by reciprocate this value, that is 1 by C, then you can get the conductivity of cell, right? So already I have explained the conductivity, the measurement of conductivity is there, but the main important thing here is we cannot directly convert, and that is calculate the conductivity. Therefore we have to calculate the resistivity. Just by calculating the resistivity and by reciprocating that value, you will come across the total conductivity of the cell, right? So, and the one important hurdle or the difficulty in case of ionic solutions or in case of liquid solution is directly we cannot fix this liquid solutions to the Wheatstone bridge or the Wheatstone network. So therefore what we have to do, we have to design, always remember, we have to design or we have to convert that liquid solution in the form of a conductivity cell. Conductivity cell is nothing but this special kind of cell which can be used even in case of Wheatstone bridge, or which can be even connected with the help of Wheatstone network. So therefore we have modified this, that is simple glass tube. There will be input for the filling or uploading of the electrolytic solution or the ionic solution. There were 2 connecting wires, and by designing these 2 types we can further use that even in case of this Wheatstone bridge. Further, with the help of formula we can calculate the total resistance, and by reciprocating that value we can calculate the conductivity. The main theme was calculation of conductivity. With the help of this experiment we can calculate the resistance, and by reciprocating that value we will get the main aim or the main theme, that is calculation of conductivity of the cell. So once we'll see what we have learned today. That is the first concept which we have learned today. That is electrochemical cell and Gibbs free energy of the reaction. That is delta R of G is equal to minus ENF into EMF of the cell, and we can calculate in case of calculation part, in case of numerical equations. So that is EMF of the cell is equal to, so delta R of G is equal to minus ENF into EMF. Along with that, we have seen one important concept that is related to measurement of conductivity of cell in the ionic solutions with the help of a Wheatstone bridge or with the help of Wheatstone network that is generally studied in case of physics, and that can be utilized here for the calculation of resistance of the electrode, which are in the form of ionic solutions. So therefore here the important thing is to convert that, or the design can be modified in the form of conductivity cell. Further, by taking this conductivity cell and fixing into the Wheatstone bridge, we can calculate the resistance with the help of formula. And once you calculate the EMF, that is resistivity of the cell, by reciprocating that value, you will get the conductivity cell, right? So that's all we have studied in the today's class. We'll continue with the next class, and I will give the notes even in case of WhatsApp also. Thanks for joining.